Hello and welcome to this week's Live from 553. This week is gonna be a good one. Now, first off, we have Maddie with her first main story, filmed using a potato. Take it away, Maddie.
Hi, my name is Madison Note, and today I'll be presenting one of your main news stories. Currently, Colombia is plagued not only with coronavirus, like the rest of the world, but also with waves of protest. The reason behind the protests range from health reform, call for subsidies to healthcare workers, and a ban on any forced coca removal or eradication. However, the biggest motivator for the protests is the abuse of human rights and police brutality exhibited by the security forces of Colombia, especially when it comes to the response to the people. As a result of the spread of the protests, the city of Cali emerges as the epicenter of the ordeal. Let's start at the beginning. Tax reforms were proposed, sparking the protest. After a protest of the tax reform, police came to deal with the crowd. The response by the security force created mistrust between the people and the force, creating a larger protest that spread throughout the country. Since the start of the marches on April 28th, there has been significant evidence of police brutality. According to a Colombian NGO, or non-governmental organization, that tracks alleged police abuses known as temblores, there have been over 1,800 cases of violence by the force. Some incidents became viral, such as police firing tear gas and rubber bullets at protesters. Officers of the Colombian National Police were also involved in the death of at least 11 protesters in the past 7 days. For example, the recent death of Nicolas Guerrero, a 21-year-old activist who was shot during demonstrations in Cali. According to the Interior Minister of Colombia, at least 3 arrest warrants have been issued for officers involved in the death of protesters. With the rise in police brutality, there has also been a rise in targeting stations or officers. Since the protests began, about 25 police stations have been attacked. At a police station in Bogota, protesters set ablaze a station with at least 10 officers still trapped inside. Although conflict has always been present in Colombia, the tension of the COVID-19 pandemic and the government's response has strained the hope for peace amongst Colombia's citizens and the government. The pandemic has affected the economy significantly in Colombia. Within the time of the pandemic, when the country was under lockdown, Colombia's debt increased about $20 billion in the span of only 5 months. The huge increase in the debt prompted the government to increase taxes. Along with the tax increase, the unemployment rate increased, which mostly impacted the lower income classes. Due to this situation, restrictions such as curfews have been imposed by the police. Heavy fines set by police have also further created tension between the people and the police, contributing to the tension that started with protests. In my opinion, I believe that the government of Colombia is the wrong one here, as they did not respond well. It seemed that the government acted in its own self-interest to pay off the debt, rather than thinking about the backlash an increase in taxes may have. Additionally, the government's actions for tax reform seems to turn a blind eye to those who are truly suffering from the effects of the damage to the economy, which is the lower class. As a government whose sole purpose is to serve the people, it seems rather immoral to ignore the pleas of the people. Furthermore, it is immoral to not only ignore the pleas, but also to respond in such a violent and inhumane manner. I believe that Colombia's government should find a better method to keep the protests at bay, rethink their plans or reforms, and act upon the pleas of the people. If Colombia doesn't have the resources, I think that other countries that have dealt with the pandemic accordingly should aid them in some form or way.
Wow, Maddie. Thanks for that insightful take on what's going on in Colombia right now. Next, we have Jasper with our heartwarming story. Take it away, Jasper.
Thank you, Jin. For our heartwarming news today, it will be about how on May 5th, a man named Jonathan Bauer, who jumped off a bridge into the Maryland Bay to save a toddler's life. That day, Bauer and his daughter were on an errand when they got caught in a 5-car accident on the Route 90 bridge over Maryland's Assawoman Bay, resulting in 8 hospitalized. During the incident, Bauer got out of his car to make sure everyone was alright, once he made sure that his daughter was alright. Next to the truck that was dangling over the railing of the bridge, one of the passengers has presented to Barr a distressing sight, to say the least, of a toddler floating in the bay after she was ejected from the passenger seat. Barr first scanned the water for any nearby boats, but he found none. And when he soon saw the toddler had turned her body around, face towards the water, after having his daughter call for help, he jumped off around 30 feet off the bridge into the water despite having a fear of heights. He swam towards the toddler and patted her back to save her by having her cough and expel the water from her system. And after Bayer and the toddler was pulled up by a passing by boat, the toddler was passed on to first responders to be transported to the medical center for evaluation and treatment, where she was expected to make a full recovery. Barr then quickly slipped away from the scene, saying that he wanted to remain an anonymous good Samaritan and that saving a life was all that mattered. However, the community wasn't having any of that and managed to get in contact with Bauer, where they then properly thanked and credited Bauer for his heroic deed. This story definitely does put a smile on my face, knowing that there are people such as Bauer who will be able to get past their fears, even just temporarily, just so that they can save someone's life. I feel that people like Bauer are one of the many kinds of people that keeps my outlook on others positive.
Wow, Jasper, my heart sure is warmed. Next, we have Haven with our next main story. Take it away, Haven.
Hi, my name is Haven, and my story is on Top House Foreign Affairs member calls for sanctions in Tigray after CNN report shows military forces blocking aid. So the calling of the Biden administration to set penalties in regards to the, quote, human rights abuses, end quote, in Ethiopia in the region of Tigray by the top Republican on the House Foreign Affairs Committee. This calling came into play after an ongoing CNN investigation became aware of the blockage of necessary humanitarian aid that would be given to starving and wounded people of this region. This blockage was by the Eritrean soldiers. The investigation that was being conducted by CNN was published on Wednesday and gave insight about the blockage. They witnessed soldiers that neighbored Eritrea, as some used disguises in old Ethiopian military uniforms, taking control of checkpoints in Tigray, blocking and occupying their aid routes, and walking the halls of one of the only operating hospitals in the region, threatening the medical staff. Along with the absurdities that they have seen, they also said that the, quote, blockages by military forces, end quote, prevented the ability of assistance to get to very critical areas where the humanitarian crisis was the worst. GOP Rep. Michael McCall makes it clear that the government of Ethiopia and the government of Eritrea have not kept their promise of removing Eritrean forces out of Tigray. They have been involved not only with the blockage of aid, but human rights abuses, rape, and other atrocities. The New York Democrat, chair of the House of Foreign Affairs Committee, Gregory Meeks, has been pushing for the Biden administration to hold accountability for their actions. Since Abiy Ahmed brought about the military operation in November to go against Tigray People's Liberation Front, there are believed to have been thousands of civilians who were killed by Ethiopian and Eritrean forces. The U.S. Secretary of State, Tony Blinken, called for a withdrawal of these troops, but despite this, there has been no suggestions that show they will be withdrawing. The U.S. has sent millions of funds to help Tigray respond to the humanitarian crisis and has also sent a U.S. Agency for International Development Disaster Assistance response team to Tigray as well. Biden ally Democratic Senator Chris Coons states, quote, there has been progress made on all these fronts, but there is still more that needs to be done, end quote. Thank you for tuning in to my story. I'm Haven, and on to the next story.
Thanks, Haven. I'm really interested to see how this story develops. Now, next we have Maddie again with our entertainment story. Take it away, Maddie.
Hi, it's Maddie again, and today I'll be presenting your entertainment story. On Monday morning, May 11th, NBC announced that they would not be airing the Golden Globes Award in 2022. thus ending a decades-long relationship between the network and the association responsible for the award show. According to NBC, this decision was made as a result of the huge controversy surrounding the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, or the HFPA. The Golden Globes is an award show that recognizes excellences in film, such as international or American movies or TV shows. The HFPA has been under fire recently after a Los Angeles Times investigation exposed some seemingly unethical actions made by the association. In the investigation, it was revealed that the association made some unethical financial decisions and exposed a lack of diversity amongst the members of the association. For example, information stating a lack of African American members within the association, an absurd amount of spending on a hotel stay connected with the Emily in Paris junket, and certain members attaining millions of dollars in wages within the association. In response to the accusations, the Hollywood Foreign Press Association has stated that they are devoted to bringing in more African American journalists and increasing diversity amongst their members. Additionally, the association has made changes to staff and members after the investigation. The former president of the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, Philip Burke, was removed from his position and the entire association due to an email found with Burke calling the Black Lives Matter movement as a hate group. On Thursday, May 13th, a plan was approved addressing the questionable financial decisions made by the association. The plan included restrictions on gifts that members could receive and the payments for works within their committees. Some stars who received a Golden Globe Award are protesting after the recent scandal. Famous actor Tom Cruise has returned the 3 Golden Globe Awards he received in protest of the HFPA scandal. NBC's decision was very shocking as they have aired the Golden Globe Awards show since 1996. After this declaration, many wonder how the Hollywood Foreign Press Association will proceed regarding the airing of the Golden Globes in 2022. Additionally, many are also wondering whether this major decision will result in reforms made to regain the trust and opportunity to air the show once again. I believe that NBC's decision was the right one to make. The Hollywood Foreign Press Association made unethical and immoral decisions that should warrant a huge consequence, such as losing the opportunity to air their show on NBC. Furthermore, if NBC continued to wish to air the show linked to a controversial association, their own reputation would be damaged. They would most likely be dubbed as inconsiderate and immoral for continuing to support this problematic association even after significant evidence of their unethical actions. Although I'm sad to hear that there won't be a Golden Globes most likely aired next year, I understand the decision and support it. I personally would much rather not watch the Golden Globes in 2022 than know that NBC chose money and viewers over justice. Also, I would be greatly disappointed if they continue with the plans to air, as it goes against all morals such as equality and fairness that America stands for.
Thanks for that take on our entertainment news story, Maddie. I personally haven't watched a Golden Globes even once, so glad to learn something new today. Next, we have Jasper with our 3rd news story. Take it away, Jasper.
Thank you, Jaden. There has been an article that states that, and I quote, "The stock market has soared to historic heights in recent years," end quote. While for many of this is a good sign that the economy is doing well and that they can reap the benefits of that rise, but for the economist Jane Eckhout, the skyrocketing of the stock market signifies that there is something wrong with the economy. Eckhout says that while there are individuals that can benefit personally from the rising stocks, but this skyrocketing of stocks is the result of increasing powerful corporations exploiting profits from a large chunk of workers within the economy, overall hurting the economy. He states that it is, and I quote, "why the wages of a typical American worker are flatlined, why there has been a significant decline in the percentage of people participating in the workforce, why the share of national income going to workers has been failing, and why startup growth has slowed in recent years," end quote. And he also says that all of this growth started since 1980s. Eckhout states that the increasing market power, the ability for companies to make large profits through larger markups, and the increasing amount of companies that have this market power has become an issue. That cases of monopoly throughout different industries has become increasingly prevalent. These suspects of monopolies go beyond the usual Google, Amazon, Facebook, etc., but also in industries such as pharmaceuticals and energy to makers of cat food and mayonnaise. Eckhout states that the two main factors for the rise of the market power is due to the lack of enforcement of competition by the government, such as allowing companies to merge or take over competitors, and the overgenerous patent system that corporate lobbying has created to protect and expand market power. He says that the most straightforward method of dealing with this problem would to be simply have the government break up the companies. However, it's not that simple, as many of the dominant companies are dominant because they are often providing greater efficiency and better products, and that breaking them up would end up with the consumers worse off. So, another idea that Eckhout has created is to create a new federal competition agency that is well-staffed and has the powers to allow them to operate independently from Congress and the President, to limit inflation and the market power of monopolies. This news is really relevant as it can concern essentially everyone in the US, as whether or not this issue is dealt with or not, it will eventually result in a significant change in the economy. As previously stated, the implications of this event will most likely be significant, as if this issue is not properly dealt with, inflation will continue to rise and production and demand for labor will continue to decrease. And if this problem is dealt with, then profits of companies will significantly be reduced, as Eckhout wrote about, and I quote, "Be prepared for a Dow Jones below 10,000 instead of at 3,000, unquote.
Thank you, Jasper. Let's hope for the best and prepare for the worst. Now, next we have me with our original journalism, which will be some movie reviews. Take it away, me. Hi, my name is Jaden, and I'm here to give you some quick spoiler-free reviews on 3 movies I got to watch recently. Let's get to it. First off, Mortal Kombat, directed by Simon McQuoid, is an adaptation of the extremely popular video game series Mortal Kombat. Now, something that will definitely affect my view of this movie is how deep into the story I get with some video games. Basically, I'm a huge nerd at times with things I really love, and I want to preface this important bias when I get into my review. The movie gives us some really popular characters such as Jackson Briggs, or Jax, Liu Kang, Kung Lao, Sonya Blade, Kano, and more, as well as a completely new character named Cole Young. Before watching the movie, I got a chance to watch some director's commentary on the first trailer for Mortal Kombat, and watched every trailer as they came out. From this, my expectations were at a pretty high level, as the director seemed to have a passion for the source material and intended to put his own spin on it to emphasize certain parts of the movie. One example of this that you'll see in the first trailer for Mortal Kombat is the event in which Jax loses his human arms. This scene was intended to emphasize the threat of Sub-Zero in the movie through a deviation from the known cause of Jax's metal arms, a character known as Ermac. Watching the movie, however, I felt that there were many missed opportunities in the implementation of a lot of characters, in the fight scenes at times, and in the setup for more films in the future. The work that NetherRealm Studios, the developers of Mortal Kombat 9 through 11, have done in their work on the story of Mortal Kombat seem to easily surpass even the best parts of the Mortal Kombat film. The movie to me sadly felt both rushed and like a significant step down from the source material. However, the movie undoubtedly a fun, gore-filled escape from reality if you don't have the same bias that I have. I give this movie a 6 out of 10. If you're not me, it'll probably be okay, but it still has a bit of pacing issues. Next, we have the new Godzilla vs. Kong, directed by Adam Wingard, which is a continuation of the MonsterVerse that started with 2014's Godzilla. I'm not a big Godzilla, King Kong, or Giant Monster Universe nerd, so I went into this movie having enjoyed Kong Skull Island and having only paid half attention to the 2014 Godzilla movie. From this, I obviously rooted for the giant gorilla. I mean, he has opposable thumbs and wields an axe in the trailer. Anyway, all jokes aside, I did get a chance to watch this movie twice, once at home with my family via HBO Max, and once at my first trip at the movies in over a year with the Goof Troop most of you know, and hopefully at least tolerate. The movie to me was just a perfect escape from reality with two giant monsters just duking it out. The CGI to me was incredible. The main plot involving the monsters was satisfying, albeit kind of cheesy. And all in all, the movie just made me feel like a little kid cheering on both sides of these massive scale fights. My only problem with the movie would probably have to be the human component. There were two plots that ran parallel to the movie, but one in particular mainly involved only humans, and did end up feeling slightly rushed and unimportant in the end. The other, as previously stated, was satisfying. This is probably due to the cut content that was taken out to make the movie shorter in length. With this cut content added back, the director Adam Wingard has stated that the movie would go from the released 1 hour and 53 minutes to a drastically longer 5-hour cut. This was most likely due to the studio's lack of faith in the MonsterVerse, due to previous installments such as 2019's Godzilla King of Monsters not meeting expectations in ticket sales. All in all, Godzilla vs. Kong still felt like an amazing spectacle of a film that I feel I enjoyed from beginning to end. I give this movie an 8 out of 10, just pure fun. Finally, I have a movie I went in with zero knowledge. We have Nobody, directed by Ilya Naishuller. I had heard some responses from watching the movie, but largely knew nothing about it. I hadn't even watched a trailer. If I could describe this movie in one sentence, I'd say it's like John Wick, but funnier and with less winning. The basic premise in this movie is a suburban dad living repetitive days ends up getting himself into some trouble through a very entertaining series of events. After this, he has to fight to secure his family's safety by showing his true prowess, much similar to John Wick. Except this man has clearly been out of the game for longer than Wick and has grown attuned to the life of a middle-aged dad that works at some kind of workshop. Through comedy and some brutal fight scenes, this movie caught my attention and held it throughout the movie with no prior knowledge on my part. I'd highly recommend just watching the movie if you haven't seen any trailers. It was extremely fun. I give this movie a 10 out of 10. Thanks for watching. Now next we have our viral video. I hope you enjoy. Dogs are just truly a blessing. Now, next we have Eric with our last main story and our last segment in general. We hope you enjoy Eric and his amazing editing skills. Now, on to you, Eric.
Now let's talk about what Uber and Lyft are doing for Joe Biden. So, the Biden administration decided to have a partnership or team up with Uber and Lyft to provide free rides to only vaccination sites. Because due to the falling numbers of people getting vaccinated, Joe Biden wanted to act very quickly and partner with Uber and Lyft to provide free rides so that it can be accessible for the American people to get a vaccine. So basically, it's kind of going to be kind of hard to make an excuse. So let's go over the background information. So the background is that the Biden administration held a conference meeting negotiating what they wanted to do to get people vaccinated because of the huge decline amount of people and the huge decline of the amount of people who are getting vaccinated. So Joe Biden himself wanted to talk to the big boy companies with Uber and Lyft to provide free rides for vaccination sites starting on May 24th, 2021. Based on the article from the New York Times, Joe Biden himself states that he's trying to make the necessary steps to return back to normalcy by July 4th. I fully respect Biden for just pushing this vaccine to its limit because he wants to get back to normal. We all want to get back to normal, all right? We want to students to return back to schools. We want some amusement parks like Disneyland, Six Flags to go back to normal and how the way it was back in 2019, if that was the last time that we were normal. He wants everything to get back to normal as quickly as possible. And to be honest, it's showing. Like he's able to pull this off like within a matter of like 2 months, and that's very, very good. And with Uber and Lyft playing a huge role in this situation, or at least the Biden administration partnering it up with them, it can dramatically increase the numbers within a matter of weeks. And this whole entire story is relevant because the number of people being vaccinated is a small number. I mean, 153 million is a lot if we're just talking about just the United States population. But as time went on, no one's getting vaccinated. The numbers of people being vaccinated per week has been decreasing. And this is a problem now because this means that people have lost faith and people don't want to get the vaccine anymore. So Joe Biden wants to overcome that obstacle and encourage people to get the vaccine by providing Uber and Lyft as a free service. That's the whole point of the relevance of the story. With Uber and Lyft being a free service just to go to a vaccine site now, Jim Justice of West Virginia decided to take a different route with this idea of encouragement. He is giving young people a $100 savings bond to whoever gets vaccinated. So basically, Jim Justice is appealing towards young audiences and putting $100 in their savings bond to if you get the vaccine. In Maine, they are offering fishing and hunting licenses and tickets to local sporting events for free if you get vaccinated. To me, again, that's not really bad. I mean, like, you're giving away free stuff or licenses and to encourage people to get the vaccine so that people can get free stuff. I mean, that's not a big deal. In the New York Times article, Biden himself said that the idea of giving away free stuff like licenses and doing what the states have been doing might work. And honestly, that might be true because again, like people want to be encouraged to get these vaccines. So the only way to do it is to give away free stuff. I love the fact about what New Jersey is going to be doing if you get the vaccine. Apparently, in New Jersey, they're going to be trying to offer shots and beer for people who are getting vaccinated. I think that's just funny and questionable at the same time because that's like encouraging drinking. But this just shows on how each state is like trying to are like literally desperate to get everyone vaccinated because again they want to return back to normal. And with the partnership with Uber and Lyft, Biden's plan can work because now there's really not much of an excuse to not get the vaccine at this point because Uber and Lyft are providing free service for you to get or to go to a vaccination site, and now some states are providing free stuff for you to get the vaccine that could sound appealing to you. If you look at the big picture, right, we can see that, okay, people are not getting vaccinated, so how can we encourage people to get vaccinated? And it's by giving away free stuff or free service to limit the excuse of people not getting vaccinated. And Biden, he wants to get to 70% within the 4th of July, which might happen, not gonna lie, because if the states are encouraging this idea of giving away licenses, alcohol, tickets, just for you to get vaccinated, this idea might work. Overall, I think my opinion in this situation, I think that bribing people into getting the vaccine is not really a suitable decision. But again, all of this free stuff, it sounds very good. I'm not saying that you shouldn't give away free stuff for getting vaccinated. I mean, like, if you're getting free stuff, like, if you're getting free money, like, I mean, like, who wouldn't, like, get vaccinated, right? But again, that's, like, putting, like, all the health precautions aside and putting the primary goal of getting the free stuff. Getting, like, free tickets, let's just say. So, for example, let's just say that, like, Maine is, or let's get into New Jersey, right? If you get vaccinated, then we give you, like, 2 free shots in any bar you go to, right? People are going to be more appealing towards a shot than all the health precautions. Because, again, every single vaccine has a health precautions. You might feel something. You might get sick from the vaccine, right? That's putting all those factors aside and making your primary goal of getting that 2 shots for free, which, again, just puts all medicine aside, which is really, I mean, I don't blame them for thinking alcohol is more important than their health, but I don't know. I just might be thinking something different. To me, it's kind of like hard to even pick a side in which I'm favoring towards, not gonna lie. Like, I'm like presenting like probably like inaccurate arguments here, but I honestly believe that, I mean, if it works to get people vaccinated, then okay. But again, it's not really right to bribe people in getting a vaccine. I think that Uber and Lyft's free service is more of a professional decision, or at least like a good decision, than actually bribing people in getting the vaccine. Because again, with the Uber and Lyft free service thing, it's like a choice to get on it, and it's like an encouragement. And again, that goes for the same for getting free alcohol and free tickets and free licenses. But again, is it too much, and are the states going a little bit too far with how they proceeding the policies? So thank you very much for listening to the story. I know it was one confusing story, but I hope you guys got the gist of it. Back to you guys at the studios.
My love, never gonna leave you alone. Gonna hold you till the night is